Markets are risk-off this morning as America returns from Memorial Day weekend. Greece deteriorates, Neuer of France, also Italian and German officials, well, they opine decidedly against a defiant Athens. Little has changed spring into summer. Hans Nichols is in Berlin as the euro once again weakens and tests parity. Hans, what did we learn over our three-day weekend?
Well, we learned the Germans aren't moving, we learned the Greeks aren't moving, and we learned that ECB officials are increasingly concerned, which is to say we've learned nothing. Nothing's really changed this week from, say, a month ago.
So this is why I'm confused. Why are spreads widening? At what point does a flutter of news turn into risk?
Well, before Greece has warned that they wouldn't be able to pay their IMF, their IMF interest, they've got a June 5th deadline now. This warning has a little bit more weight because previously there's that letter that was reported after the fact. That was a letter from Alexis Tsipras to Madame Lagarde that they wouldn't make their May payment. So the markets seem to be believing that that June 5th payment, that's $300 million, they have to pay some a total of $1.5 billion over the month of June, that's very real, and that's a real deadline. I've said real deadline so many times now, though, I don't even believe myself anymore, guys.
Hans, we saw sort of two pieces of news about Yanis Varoufakis, Greece's finance minister, over the weekend. There was a New York Times profile of him, went into about 5,000 words of detail on how he feels about economics in general in this negotiation as well. And then there was his Project Syndicate op-ed, in both of which he was defiant. Does it feel a little bit like he's pre-writing his own obituary here?
Well, if you were thinking a way for maybe him to exit and for Tsipras to clinch a deal, his exit could be one. That's, you know, in the political commentary here, that's whispered about. Or he and Syriza are one and the same, and then he and Tsipras are one and the same, and there's no daylight between them. And the idea of compromising on this idea of austerity is anathema to them. I mean, that's what they keep saying. We're not going to reform pensions. We're not going to cut back on pensions. We're not going to reform labor laws. Even the IMF, Oliver Blanchard, gave an interview, the chief economist, to Les Echos, a French newspaper, yesterday, said their civil servants are too bloated and their pension payments are too high. There's been no coming together. Those have been the positions for some time now.
What is the position of Germany? Klaus Regling was out in the news, and others. I saw Merkel's photograph over the weekend. Is there a nuance to what you observe in Berlin of Berlin?
Yeah, there's a nuance between the difference between Angela Merkel and her finance minister. Mr. Schäuble seems as though he's willing to let Greece go, and he's very clear that if it's up to Greece to do what's next. Merkel seems to be thinking a couple steps more ahead, and that is if there is a second bailout or third bailout package, what does she need to do to keep her coalition together? She's thinking about speeches. She's thinking more about what, if you do get an agreement, what's the next step? Because the German public certainly isn't prepared, nor, dare I say, in the mood for more money for Greece.
But, Brendan, to your good point on markets moving, bring up the euro, if you would, Tania, here. I think this is really important. We're back on parity watch. We're not there yet, but we're coming back down. Weaker euro, and you get down through 110, and as you say, the markets tell you what to do.
Hey, Hans, let's talk Hail Marys. From where you are in Berlin or maybe in Brussels, is there any hope that Syriza might lose its left flank and form some sort of new coalition that would make it easier to cut a deal?
That's exceedingly difficult when you do the numbers. Take the vote that they had last night. This was a vote that Tsipras won to say pay the IMF or compromise on your core principles. He won that vote 95 to 75. That means 75 members of Syriza would be comfortable defaulting if defaulting meant keeping true to your principles. Those aren't, the math doesn't work out for him. I was trying to think of a way to bring in Hail Mary and Pfingsten, the holiday we celebrated here yesterday. I just couldn't do it because, frankly, I'm unclear on what Pfingsten is.
And I'm unclear how Hail Mary plays in Germany.
I'm so relieved you said that. As much time as I've spent in Germany, I've never really known what Pfingsten is either. It's basically a day where you sit outside and drink beer. But it has something to do with the Catholic calendar.
This is like a massive inside joke. Not in America on this Sunday we would sit outside and drink beer.